Welcome to Get the Facts, the program that provides you with information on government's policies and initiatives. I'm Theodore Henry. As of 2023, the Program of Advancement through Health and Education, PATH, has served over 285,000 people. 65% are children, 27% are the elderly, and the rest are comprised of persons with disabilities, pregnant and breastfeeding women, and vulnerable adults and families. Despite the hurdles confronting the 22-year-old program, the initiative has made commendable strides in reducing poverty rates and improving access to education and healthcare. But there are more improvements to be made. On that note, today we have with us Minister of Labour and Social Security, Pernell Charles Jr., who will give us details of the comprehensive overhaul of the program. Minister, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for inviting me to be here.
All right, let's jump right into getting the facts. Let's not take it for granted that everybody understands what PATH is meant to do. So tell us about PATH's mission, medium-term goals.
So PATH, as Jamaica knows it, is the flagship program for the government of Jamaica. It represents one significant element of the government's public welfare relief system. And it is the primary mechanism, primary way for us to provide support and relief to the most vulnerable families in our country.
Right.
The goal for us with PATH is to improve access to healthcare, to education, to break the intergenerational cycle of poverty, to create a more equitable society. And so for more than 20 years, PATH has been providing support in terms of income benefits, in terms of tertiary grants, in terms of health clinic support, all of that with the goal of making sure that those who need the support the most, we are able to target them and provide them with that support along their chain towards independence.
If I can pick on one idea, you mentioned breaking the cycle of intergenerational poverty, and you just mentioned independence. Like, how are we looking in regards to that goal in particular?
You know, PATH has been successful,
Yeah.
You know, there are many success stories in PATH, but I liked how you introduced this segment, because what you said is right. The fact that PATH has been successful doesn't mean we don't need to look on it, examine it, reassess, and improve it. And so, yes, we are achieving goals, but we've also received several, complaints, several criticisms, several commendations around PATH that have caused us to really establish the need to do this overhaul, to improve how we are selecting beneficiaries, to improve how we are providing and delivering this support, and generally to just improve the processes and procedures around this program.
Okay, so you started getting into some of the optimizations. What would you say are the top 2 optimizations that really have to happen?
You know, when you talk to Jamaicans, they'll tell you, or they'll ask you, why am I not on PATH? Why the person on this street right beside me is on PATH and I don't get on PATH? A lot of it goes down to the selection process. There is an assessment, an evaluation that all persons who apply for PATH have to go through to determine whether they are eligible.
Right.
And that selection process has been criticized to see, is it fit 20 years later for this new Jamaica, for what we've evolved into? And, a big part of what we're doing is examining that process, is examining the technology that we use, examining the criteria that is utilized, and ensuring that the current needs of our applicants are met. Additionally, outside of the selection process, it's just the procedure now, the general operation and design of the program, how long it takes for verification, how do you, are you able to stay on PATH? When should you come off of PATH? All of these important questions in the procedures, which we are also examining in terms of the full comprehensive overhaul of the PATH program.
Am I detecting that there's also a consideration of expansion, being able to meet more needs?
I want to be cautious in how we utilize that word expansion.
Okay.
Because our goal is not to have more Jamaicans requiring this kind of support.
Right.
The goal must be to make sure that all Jamaicans who require the support are receiving effective delivery of this service. I would hope, Jamaica should hope, that over time, in the next 10 years, we shouldn't have 285,000 persons. We hope that that will be reduced, because if the program is effective, generation to generation, there should be less reliance or need for that kind of support. So the goal should be then to identify the right persons who require this support, to identify the persons who no longer should be on path, and to make sure that whatever service we are delivering is as effective as possible to put everybody on their two feet, so that we can start to evolve what the benefits of PATH are towards the new Jamaica.
I appreciate that statement. While we were saying certain people wouldn't need to be on PATH anymore, it's not because they're being removed. It's because their life has been improved. They're standing on their own 2 feet, as you mentioned.
Exactly so. And that must be the goal.
Yes.
The goal must be to make sure that along this pathway, we're ensuring the right people are on PATH, and those that should not be on PATH are put towards either another program or are given the support through healthcare, education, or just general welfare to become their own economic independent family. And, you know, we've seen, as I said, several success stories, several persons who have gone through the PATH program and have returned to help us in this process of the overhaul.
Oh, that's nice. What role, we're almost out of time here in our first segment, but what role do you think the communication plays at this point?
Oh, it's instrumental, because we have to inform people, we have to provide the accurate information. And also it provides us a mechanism for people to know that we want to listen to them. The goal for this overhaul.
Two-way sort of thing.
Yes, man. The goal is not just to tell you what we're doing.
Right.
The real positive from this is being able to listen to people. Every single time we have an engagement, I learn something new. Like I keep on saying, this is the same thing we're going to hear from Westmoreland to St. Thomas, but it's not.
You mean like in the town halls?
The town halls, the smaller engagements, you always have a new, more intricate issue that arises that helps us along this pathway to defining a better path.
All right. Listen, we're going to keep talking about PATH with the Minister of Labour and Social Security, Pernell Charles Jr. So don't go anywhere. We're going to come back right after the break. Stay with us. Welcome back to Get the Facts. With Jamaica moving towards modernization, a comprehensive and responsive social security program is needed. Now, this is where the Program of Advancement through Health and Education, PATH, comes into play. We've talked about plans for change, but how does one even benefit? And let's begin with that, Minister. How does one enroll in PATH? And secondary to that, who qualifies?
So, in every parish, we have a parish office for the Ministry of Labour and Social Security. And we have social officers, social workers, and other officers who are there to receive applicants. We ask persons who have an interest in determining whether they are fit for PATH to go there. Bring your birth certificate, your TRN, a valid ID. The head of the family should be there. The birth certificate for the children, if they're children who, or any other person in the family who you are trying to apply for. And you sit down and you go through a series of questions that are part of that evaluation process. And right there and then, you'll be told whether you are eligible or not, because it goes through that BIS system. Now, if you are not found to be eligible, it doesn't end there. You are given the opportunity to actually go through an appeals process where your information can be put to a committee made up of a number of experts, government and non-governmental, and they will determine whether it is just that the system didn't find you, but whether you really ought to be eligible for the program. Generally, I couldn't just say to you who is eligible, because it is assessed on an individual basis. And the fact that you might have a particular equipment in your home or not is not the only criteria that is looked on or evaluated to determine whether you're eligible for PATH. It's a series of things that are evaluated by that process. And that's part of what we're looking on too, to see whether those elements, those criteria that are evaluated are fair. Are they providing us with the result that really reflects who needs to be or who ought to be on this program?
So change, improve, trying to figure that out based on what?
That's a goal, because we have to listen to what we have heard from persons. Many persons are quarreling and say, listen, I should be on it. And when you evaluate it, no, you ought not to be on it because you don't fit. But perhaps you didn't understand what the standard was for the program. This is a big part of the need for more information and communication around the program.
Right.
And when we're finished the overhaul, the next phase will have to be the communication. Telling persons in a very simple and practical way, here is your PATH program, here is what is required to be eligible, and this is how long you will stay on the program, and what we expect of you as participants, and what you should expect of us as a government.
Understood. We have many people watching right now, and I think this might be a very pertinent question for them. We've mentioned health benefits, education benefits. Are they within one package, or if you have a health need?
Well, it depends. So, for instance, our pregnant and lactating mothers, they're mandated to make sure that they're going to the clinic in order to receive their benefits. Our children, we work with the Ministry of Education and Youth to ensure that children, we provide the list of PATH beneficiaries who are in school, and they provide them with support in terms of the feeding program.
Right.
We also have entrepreneurial grants. So several PATH beneficiaries have access to grants that will help them in starting up or expanding their business. We have tertiary grants, high school grants. So if you are in the PATH program and you receive, for instance, a high school grant at least once, you can apply for a post-secondary grant, whether it is UE, UTEC, or any other institution that can assist you to be able to achieve your bachelor's or other degree. It's a wide complement of benefits, a range of things that are provided for the families and for the individuals to make sure that you are moving along the path and not just in the PATH program.
Right.
The goal, again, is to provide a more equitable society, to provide the support, to make sure that at the end of your journey, we are breaking that intergenerational cycle, so those that are coming up won't need the PATH program. They'll be able to say to themselves, listen, I can provide for my children in a way that my parents weren't able to provide for me. That's the goal.
And to quote you, stand on their own two legs. So did I hear you correctly that a tertiary student can actually consider PATH as a source of helping them along their path to success?
Well, let's invert it. A PATH beneficiary, who is going through high school and is seeking to move into university now, we will give you that support. So once you make your application, several of our PATH beneficiaries are receiving tertiary grants to help them in being able to navigate the challenges that we expect them to face economically and otherwise in terms of getting their degrees. And it's a big part of what we said before. This transformation means we want you to have access to education, access to healthcare, access to opportunity.
So I'm underlining this. It's PATH first, and then you have the tertiary benefits as opposed to the other way around.
Yes, so once you're on the PATH program and you make the application, you have access. We have other grants, in the ministry that give support to persons who are not on the PATH program. But in particular, we're talking today about the delivery of service and benefits for PATH beneficiaries.
That's right. In the last few moments of this interview, Minister, what's like one of the key goals moving forward?
I think all in all, we want to have a Jamaica where our development is not staggered, but is sustainable and moving in the right direction. We have seen historic reduction in unemployment, increases in minimum wage, increases in pension,
Right.
and all of these positive macroeconomic indicators. Now we have to focus on ensuring that the people are feeling the impact of these things. That's why we can proudly say that for the next financial year, we'll see a 28.8 percentage increase in the allocation to PATH.
Nice.
So that's
nice.
more support for PATH beneficiaries, more support for this critical flagship program that is going to achieve its goal of making sure that as many Jamaicans that are in the vulnerable group
Yes.
are helped out of that group onto their own 2 feet towards economic independence.
Thank you for that, Minister. We're right here at the tail end, and you've been talking to me, but many of those Jamaicans who are in the vulnerable group are watching this program right now. I'd encourage you to give them a word.
Well, my word to you, you are valued, you're valuable. I encourage you to participate in our town halls, in all of our stakeholder engagements. Let us hear you. Come and freely speak to your minister, speak to us, tell us what your impression is of the program, what your recommendations, commendations, and criticisms are. Everything you say is going to help us to make sure that the transformation of PATH is towards your benefit.
Thank you, Minister. This has been Get the Facts. Our guest was Minister of Labour and Social Security, Pernell Childs Jr. Thank you for watching, and until next time, I'm Theodore Henry. Take good care.